Hello and welcome to the Lost and Found Mama, the Immigrant Mother podcast. I'm your host, Avantika, and this is the space where we share the real, unfiltered stories of mothers who are navigating identity, belonging, and motherhood across cultures and borders. Today, we are joined by Tritika, who is an immigrant mom herself, mom of two, and the creator of the platform, Oh Healing Mom, where she speaks openly about healing, identity, and survival of mothers who are navigating this life. Through her own journey as a mother, Tritika sheds light on the invisible weight many moms carry, from postpartum struggles to cultural expectations, and reminds us that survival is just not about endurance, but about reclaiming yourself while raising a family. Through O Healing Mom and her lived experience, she creates a space where mothers feel seen, heard, and less alone. Welcome, Tritika.
Thank you so much, Vantika, for having me.
My pleasure. So let's start with your life in 2015 when you arrived for the first time in Delaware, USA. Uh, what did it look like, and what were your first impressions? How did you imagine, life would be back in 2015?
Yeah. So I moved to United States when I got married, and it's not that this was the first time I was coming abroad. I've been to Germany. So before coming to USA, I was staying there for past 4 years. So I had already experienced a life of an immigrant. And at least when I got married, I had someone here. But
Yeah,
living in Germany alone by myself, I knew what that feeling was, staying away from the family and your support system. Coming to USA, there was another bond with me. I was not a single person anymore. I was married. So I had support here. But I think even if when you get married, right,
yeah,
overnight, your bond with your family and your friends, it's just, it's
yeah,
not the same.
yeah.
So that is what I experienced after marriage. My family was in different country. My friends with whom I was staying from so many years suddenly disappeared from my life. That void was there for
Yeah.
sure, but at least I had a family here. So navigating became little easier for me. However, that void was always, and it's still there.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that you completed Masters of Business Informatics in Germany and you were
Mhm,
also working there.
mhm.
So pretty much established, independent, mobile. What was it starting over in a completely new country, and how did you find yourself doing that? Because like you said, you were away from family. You did have support from your husband and his side of the family, though, but you were pretty established and settled back in Germany. So, what was it to suddenly find yourself starting over?
Yeah, I think a lot. This is the strength of women, I would say, which we do not talk about enough.
Yeah,
Because if you ask a man, who is very good doing in the career and very close to achieving his career goals, and you ask that person to switch the country,
yeah,
probably it won't be that easier for a man. But for a woman, even for women, it's not very easy. But however, we gather that strength
yeah,
and we have that courage to again start everything from scratch. And I experienced the same. I had, my blue card there, which I gained myself. So that sense of achievement was there in me.
yeah,
And when I realized that I'll have to leave everything behind and start from scratch, there was a sadness that I have to, leave everything. But I knew I can build that up again
yeah,
given get the time and
yeah,
I have my documents. That was the earlier phase when you don't even have the proper documentation. So you have to wait, and
yeah.
overnight you become dependent. But if you have that experience in yourself, like you have the initial career building phase, you can again rebuild your life, even if your
Yeah.
place changes. And that's what all of our immigrants do every single day.
That's right. So, yes, you did mention that you had like a 7-month wait period before you actually started finding a job because your file was still being processed. So,
Correct.
could you walk us through those, 7 months? What did they feel like, both practically and emotionally?
So this is where I feel any woman
Yeah.
who leaves her career, her family, her friends, and go to a different country can relate to me when I say that overnight you become a dependent person from being an independent person.
Right.
When you work so hard to be financially independent, emotional independence, physical independence, psychological independence, you are a totally independent person. But
Right.
then the hardest part of becoming an immigrant is you become dependent. You do not have that freedom or the building blocks that you had before becoming an immigrant. So that
Right.
earlier few months when I didn't had a job, I felt that I am suddenly, relying on my husband, who was the sweetest person, right?
Yeah.
Who is still that support system to me. He would ask me, "Hey, do you want to go for a shopping? Do you want to buy something?" It was an arranged marriage, right? So we take some time to build that
Get to know each
relationship.
other. Yeah.
Correct. So when I'm doing everything for myself, suddenly I was asking a person, my husband, to buy that stuff for me.
Yeah.
I was little reluctant. I was little
Absolutely.
hesitant.
Yeah.
And I would try not to spend a lot of money from him, which is again my money. But it
Yeah.
takes some time to build that kind of bond.
Yeah.
So I would say as that 7 or 8 months, I was in that state of resistance that I don't want to be dependent on him so much because I was started earning when I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
So suddenly asking someone to do that for me, it was definitely challenging. And I was not driving, I didn't have any documents. So that is a period where it will take a lot of strength and courage, patience to not lose yourself, not lose your patience that okay, everything is over, because that what it will feel like in those earlier months when you're not doing anything. But eventually when you get everything done, that journey will also not be easy when you will start building yourself. However, you will not feel hopeless at that time.
Right.
So I would say, yeah, that was a hard time period, but once it was done, I was right onto it, right on my plan.
Yeah. So, like, being financially independent, cut to having a dependency on your husband, how did that affect your sense of self, during that period? Because 7 months is a long time. And when you've had a certain way of life and you have been living like that for a very long time, and suddenly there are these period that, you can't really uh, I would say approach your husband because, like you mentioned, it was an arranged marriage and it takes time to build that kind of bond. So, how did that
Right.
affect your sense of self?
Again, I would say this is where we kind of overlook the strength of women,
Yeah.
because I feel since childhood, right, we are told or we are conditioned to believe that you have to go to someone else's house. It's
Yeah.
gonna happen, right? And regardless you become an immigrant mother, or immigrant wife, or even in the same country, you have to leave everything what you have created and start your life from scratch. So we are
True.
kind of mentally prepared to do
Right.
that. And that actually becomes our strength when we become an immigrant wife or a mother, because we mentally were prepared that this is going to happen. So the support in those earlier stage when we are still dependent matters a lot,
Yeah.
because having a supportive person like I had, it really helped me. That person did not make me feel I'm useless, because even in my head I was feeling that I'm not doing anything, I'm not able to support my partner how he is
Yeah.
supporting me. So if you have a supportive partner at that time, it would help. But
Yeah.
that journey becomes difficult if you do not have.
Right. And you mentioned that the commute times were also like really long. You had to take the train, which was 3 hours one way. That must have been really, really hard, given that, the distances in abroad are any which ways a lot. They feel like forever. Then
Correct.
traveling 3 hours one way in the train leaves you with very little time for your personal life. So, what was that like?
So when I got the job after is 8 or 9 months of wait time, I
Yeah.
knew this is my only chance to again build the life that I had, to become independent from all the way,
Yeah.
financially independence and feeling myself again, what I was.
Yeah.
And even if that took me 6 hours in total, the commute time, I took it without any second thought, because I wanted to become that independent person again. I think there was one interview I forgot who mentioned that as long as you are dependent on somebody, someone else will continue to take decisions for you in your
Right.
life, right?
Right.
So if 6 hours was the cost to gain the independence back in my life, it was not a bad deal for me. So I started the job even when it was, November, December, the whole time period, waiting on the train stations. At that, now when I think about it, it feels very hard. But I think at that time when I was doing it, I was so passionate about it, it
Yeah.
didn't feel hard at all.
Yeah.
And my husband was so supportive, dropping me to train station 6 a.m. in the morning, picking up. Sometimes trains are canceled, then coming and picking up. So I had that support, which made that journey for me to become an independent person little easier. Uh, but I don't want to take the credit from the strength of all the immigrant women who are doing that by
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
The credit goes to their strength. They can only do it because they have that power in themselves that they want to achieve that independent life again.
Absolutely. Because if you look at it now in retrospective, I think it doesn't get easier, you get stronger. I've always felt that, if you look at your life backwards, you feel that, wow, I did that, I got through that. So you just get stronger with time. And
Correct.
also, you mentioned about the, getting your driver's license almost after an year, which
Yeah.
was again one of your biggest regrets because, I personally relate to this that anyone who moves countries should start driving immediately. So could you, just throw a little bit of light on why mobility became such a critical piece of your independence and mental health?
Correct. So coming from a country like Germany, where
Yeah.
transportation was much better, I would say, as compared to where I was in United States, because as right in front of your house there is a tram. So you
Mhm.
never felt that you were dependent on some cars, Ubers to take you around. I didn't
Right.
have license in Germany as well, but the transportation was so good that I
Yeah.
felt if I needed to buy something, I have a source I can go right away.
Mhm.
But when I moved to United States, here the public transportation was not as good as back in Germany. So I realized that I needed to get my driver's license. And as I didn't had my documents, I had to wait.
Yeah.
So at that time period, even to buy, I would say, just a bag of sugar, right? I would have to ask somebody to do it, to get it, or I
Right.
will, ask someone to take me so that I can buy stuff for myself. So you become so independent, so dependent on others,
Dependent.
right?
Yeah.
So not only these small things, and I'm thinking about the other immigrant women around me,
Yeah.
who were in abusive relationships to go to meet their friends or talk about the abuse that they were enduring at home or at their offices, you
True.
feel like you are dependent on others. And that feeling, I would say every immigrant would feel as if they don't have the license. And if you come prepared, you have your international driving license, that journey can be made easier. And I would say every woman should learn how to drive to get
Should learn
that
how to drive.
independent life. Absolutely.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you. When you talk about your support system that vanished in a day when you moved from Germany to US, how did that feel in your daily life? Like, what were the moments when you actually felt that lost? You just described one of it being, not being able to drive on your own. Just stepping out of the house would actually want scheduling and, checking with your husband or someone else to just sort of just step out of the house. So what was some of those moments where you actually felt this loss most acutely?
Yeah. So if I have to talk about that, if I take that immigration journey outside of it,
Hmm.
this is a story of every woman who is getting married,
Yeah.
right? Overnight, your support system is lost.
Yeah.
And unless you are, living right next to your parents' house or in your right next to your friend's house, right?
Yeah.
So it is so important to build your support system wherever you are.
Right.
Um, I know you lose that support system. However, there's a beautiful community of supporting women anywhere you go.
Yeah.
You know, your neighbor, a person that you will meet probably at the Walmart.
Yeah.
I felt it myself that whenever I needed help or whenever any mother that I saw needed help, the
Yeah.
community will show up. And
Yeah.
it is very important to look out for that community and become that community for other women, especially if you are an immigrant, because here you will feel very lonely. And
Right.
we talk about the village, right? I see village which is made of sisters, not the blood relation sisters, a community where you feel sisterhood towards each other, that if someone needs help, a woman from a neighboring house will come up and will help you. So
Right.
that piece is so ingrained in me now
Yeah.
since I became an immigrant mother and got that support from my sisterhood community, that I want to create that community
Yeah.
for other women around me so that they can feel supported and
Yeah.
heard and their experiences are not invalidated.
Right. That's wonderful. Let's talk about 2024. You had your second baby,
Mhm.
and with your family support around you, you mentioned that you still experienced postpartum depression. Now,
Yes.
this might ruffle some feathers and surprise some people who assume that having a family nearby solves everything. So, can you share that experience and what it revealed to you?
Sure. And I think there is little bit of misunderstanding around this postpartum depression. And what does it mean when we say a village of
Yeah.
support, right? When a woman becomes a mother, we are not just we just don't need help from our physical body perspective, that somebody is able to cook for me or do laundry for me.
Yeah.
We also need emotional
Yeah.
support, right?
Yeah.
And giving a birth is one of the transformative time period that any human can experience, because within 72 hours your hormones drop 1000%.
Yeah.
So this is not a hoax that is created, that oh, everyone gives birth, why only some women, why only you experience. It is very real. If it was
Yeah.
not real, we wouldn't have medication available for this, right? Physical support helps, but emotional support, what you are experiencing at that time, holding a baby, even small things can become so big that because your brain is not able to um you know untangle those thoughts, which probably you would have done that very normally if you were
Yeah.
not going through postpartum depression, postpartum time period.
Yeah.
So I would say physically, all support was there. Emotionally, at that time, I felt just alone. I just felt, that I am just in a room. I have a baby, but everyone was there, all support was there, but still something inside me felt unsupported. So, which I don't know if I can explain you, in
Yeah.
words right now, because even now when I look back, I don't know what was happening, why I was not able to understand my thoughts at that time.
Mhm.
But it is so real that I wish, which became the reason why I started this page. I was 6 months postpartum period, going through the worst time of my life. I knew that there probably are other women who are going through or who went through the same.
Yeah.
Let me create a space where they can feel that what they went through was a totally valid experience. I went through that and I can understand what they went through. So, yeah, I would say that was the darkest time period of my life. And I'm glad my kids, my husband, I had the support system who pulled me out of it. They asked me
Yeah.
to take a therapy, they asked me to take medical help. I took all of it. And now I'm in a condition where I can provide that support back to the community.
Amazing. That's amazing that you've been able to pull yourself out of it and you've had support from family, your husband, your kids. But if you were to name some physical and emotional challenges that you faced during this postpartum period that just caught you off guard, despite this being your second time, just for people out there to understand that what you're experiencing is completely normal. So any of those physical or emotional challenges which might look absolutely normal on the face of it, but actually if you go deep, you dive deep, it's actually postpartum depression. Could you name some of them?
So, one of the things that I remember was really affecting me was seeing my older kid being ignored by me. He was getting all the attention every single day, right? And
Yeah.
suddenly I would ask him to not enter in the room at a certain time period, right? Do not talk
Yeah.
to me because baby is sleeping. So I felt like I was ignoring him.
Yeah.
He was quite understanding, right? Probably he was okay, but that mother instinct in me
Yeah.
shattered. It
Yeah.
felt very sad. It felt that guilt, that what
Yeah.
am I doing? Why did I put my kid in this situation? And how can I help my kid, my older kid?
Yeah.
So that was, I think, everyday thing. Every time when I was asking my son to be quiet, I was crying after that. So
I'm
that
sure.
played a big role. And
Absolutely.
I would say second time, I felt postpartum depression harder. And I don't know if I felt it during the first time, but I think that became a very big reason why I
Yeah.
went through postpartum depression.
And you did mention that, it took some time for you to get out of it. So, what would you say healing looked like for you? Like, were there specific moments when you realized that, okay, now some part of me is healing? You did mention that you started your page with the intention of healing. So, what was those specific moments of realization, that marked your turning points?
I still have a painting that my son drew for me because he saw me sad. He saw me crying every single day. And he made a big painting for me with hearts and flowers, all the beautiful stuff that he thought would make me happy.
Wow.
So seeing him, that understanding my emotions better than I could, made me realize that something needs to change.
Yeah.
That even though I'm not able to give him my time, he still wants to see me happy, right? Not seeing me around him. His goal was to see me happy.
Yeah.
My husband, he noticed that I was not able to articulate sentences properly. And he
Mm.
asked me what's happening. He asked me I should see somebody, right?
Yeah.
Seeing the people who loved me wanting to pull me out of it gave me the strength to come out of it. So that was a turning point for me where I realized that I need to help myself. I need to bring the joy in my life back because this time period is not going to be same all the time. It has
Yeah.
to change. Everything
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah.
So the day I decided I will bring happiness back in my life started my healing journey. I started taking care of myself. I started prioritizing myself that what will give me happiness, I will do that. So that's when, my healing journey started.
Really nice to hear that. And so, do you think that the experiences that you've had, while starting a life altogether in a new country, made this postpartum period more challenging in the sense that, you were from a different place and you had to start your life from scratch in a different place and also raise babies in that same environment? So, do you think that this made the postpartum period more challenging, or did these experiences somehow prepare you? Like you knew that this is going to come and you were like prepared for this to happen?
I don't think anything amount of knowledge can prepare a mother what postpartum time period could look like. I don't think so. Unless you experience it yourself, you
Yeah.
cannot even explain somebody what that is and how does that feel. So was I prepared for it? No. Becoming an immigrant mother, do you think that made it more challenging? I would say yes,
Yeah.
because if you had your same amount of support system that you have back in your own country where
Yeah.
people are talking in same language, they show the same concern when you become a mother, right? They
Yeah.
have their same cultural um, things around you, how they treat a new mom, right?
Mm.
And your friends, your college friends, your work friends, everybody is there, and probably they would have come to look for me, how am I doing. I think that probably would have made my postpartum time period better. But
Yeah.
since I was an immigrant mother, I didn't have that support. I think that made it challenging. And one big lesson that I learned is anytime now I see some woman who just gave birth to a baby, I would always ask for the mother first. How is the mother doing?
Yeah.
And if I'm going to see them, I will take more gifts for the mother than the baby.
How
Because
sweet.
because I experienced it myself. I became a mother. I did the most challenging work, right? But because of our culture, we are more emphasized on the baby, right?
Yeah.
How is the baby doing? Let's get some clothes for the baby, some balloons for the babies. Does the baby care about that? No. The mother is the one who needs all the support at that time, who needs all the love and the care at that time. And that has changed in me. So anytime I'm going to see somebody, I'm a newborn baby, I'm taking more gifts for the mother than the baby, because that those gifts will make the mother feel seen,
Yeah.
right? That somebody cares about me,
Yeah.
and that these small gestures can really help to pull
Yeah.
someone out from PPD.
Absolutely. I think mother needs mothering too.
Correct. In that time period, a lot, yes.
And you've also talked about, having that inner urge to connect with your own people and build your village from scratch, which you actually did here in the USA. So, when did you first recognize this need within yourself? Was it when you came fresh off from a new country, or was it more after the second baby?
It was more after the second baby, because I experienced what it felt, right?
Yeah,
Not having that support system.
yeah,
So I realized that I need to create this community of moms
yeah.
where we are not judging anyone for their experiences, right? We are not saying, oh, I also gave birth to a baby. I didn't experience PPD.
What's
Are
the
you
big deal?
special? What's the big deal? Are you special?
Yeah,
Where we make every mother feel seen,
right.
which is why I started connecting with moms, started my mini podcast series where moms have so many different experiences and stories that my page, which started from the postpartum experience or dealing with that, it became much bigger than that. Now, this page is about moms by a mom
Yeah,
for moms, right? Talking about their experiences, what they are doing to heal themselves. It could be as small as starting doing yoga every day, or
yeah.
it could be as big as starting a business empire and taking it to the great, lengths. So we talk about every single experience, make mothers feel seen and valued.
And what made you decide that, you have to channel this need into creating Oh Healing Mama rather than just finding existing communities if there were at that point in time? What made you decide that, okay, I have to build this and not just join an existing community, so to say?
That's a good question. There are plenty of reasons. First thing I would say, I was looking for a mother, someone like me,
Yeah,
a brown mom, a mom of color who has similar cultural background,
yeah,
okay, who could probably understand why this postpartum depression is such a big topic that we need to discuss more in our community, because this is considered a taboo.
yeah,
People don't even want to talk about it, and if somebody say they went through PPT, they will say she has gone mad.
yeah,
I still know or remember some stories of mothers
yeah,
when I was a kid who were labeled as mad.
yeah,
She gave birth to a baby and became mad. No, she was going through postpartum depression. That is just a temporary phase where she needs help.
yeah,
Yes, she probably lost her balance or thinking ability, but that's not something that you want to label that person as a mad or a mental person for her whole lifetime just for that temporary time period that she went through. So I felt like in my culture, in my community, I needed a place,
yeah,
and I couldn't find something like that. And there were few pages that I found, and with my small effort, I wanted to make it a bigger, attempt, that I
yeah.
want to contribute towards that community, make my own community and connected with them, where we, women like me, can also feel seen and heard.
Right. And what does healing within mean to you? And, why did that sort of become the central focus for what you're building? Having mentioned that you had to go through postpartum depression the second time, what do you think healing within meant to you when you created this page?
So, if you ask me what healing is, my healing definition keeps on changing every month. Because the
Okay.
more I'm learning about healing, the more bigger this topic keeps on becoming.
Yeah.
That what I thought healing was, it's much more than that. I
Yeah.
started this page with the concept of healing from postpartum depression, right? Then
Yeah.
I started saying, okay, why, first of all, this happened? Because PPD was not talked about topic. And
Hmm.
why so? Right? Because mothers' needs in general are ignored. Why so? I kept on going to the depth of it. Why it is
Mm.
happening? Why it is happening? And I realized that the problem is much bigger. It's not that you just a person went through postpartum depression and people could not resonate. It's about women in general, right? Not being treated equally as other gender, right? And their needs are not validated. Their experiences are not validated. So, and then my second child was a daughter. So it became my personal responsibility
Yeah.
to address this issue, because if I wouldn't address it now, right now, my daughter will go through the same experiences.
Yeah.
So I need to address them. I need to fix them, at least at my level, so that my daughter doesn't go through that. And now healing to me is unlearning everything. That's why I have a CD, Unlearn to Heal.
Yeah.
Unlearning everything that is restricting you from being your best self. what
Right.
what you would have done, but now you are restricted because of certain societal conditions, as societal rules, right? Why are they blocking you?
Yeah.
And because we are conditioned for that. And now I think at this time I want to unlearn all those things and become the best version of myself. And that's what I think is healing. Anything
Wow.
that is blocking me, I want to unlearn that.
Beautiful, beautiful thought. And now that you mentioned that you host podcasts with other mothers as well, I want to know what are some of those stories or themes that keep coming up in your conversations, specifically around immigrant mothers who are actually really struggling and, things that people really don't see from the outside. But because you keep talking to a lot of other immigrant moms yourself, what are some of those stories or themes that keep coming up?
If I have to tell you one thing that I have learned throughout my podcast series, is that mothers are going through whatever they are going through is because their stories are not being heard.
Yeah.
Nobody is sitting with the mothers and listening to them, that what happened.
Yeah.
It's just a small question, but if you sit with a mother and ask what happened to you or what happened in your life, I bet you every mother will have a story that that they should be treated as heroes. But just because that person is a mother, their
Yeah.
stories, their experiences are so ignored, because they don't even have a space in their own life to honor themselves, because all
Yeah.
their life is about their kids, their families. Their stories are just under the pile of their responsibilities.
True.
So, one thing that I really want to do now is just listen, be a good listener of the mothers, because I feel like as soon as you hear somebody's story, that person is already 50 or 60% healed.
Absolutely. And what do you think, what do you wish people would understand about the immigrant mother experience, especially those invisible challenges which do not come up in the photos or the social media? You yourself have had that experience, although you did have family support. But what do you wish people understood more about the immigrant mother experience?
I feel like when you become an immigrant, right, your life is so fast paced because you came here for a mission, right?
Yeah.
You came here
Yeah.
for a goal, and everyone is working towards that goal. So people don't generally have time for each other to create those friendship connections, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is why I always talk about that it's okay if you do not have friends, right? But at least maintain a sisterhood community where you can even knock at your neighbor's door and say, how are you doing? Are you fine? Right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they are going through their adverse situations at home, be there for them. Ask for food, because nobody is actually building strong bond here. It's very hard. And if you are able to do it, that's really good. But people are living very isolated lives here.
Yeah.
And in this situation, it's so important to just be kind right? Regardless they are your friends or not, just be
Yeah.
kind to each other. And especially moms, because I'm biased towards them, because even in their own household, they are not telling, or their story is not being conveyed even in their own families, because everyone else take priority.
Yeah.
So, if you have any immigrant mom around you, just ask for a cup of tea. Let's go for a cup of tea or at a cafe, because
Right.
that one cup of tea can completely change or reset her nervous system that even she didn't know she needed at
She
that
needed.
time. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what's your message for all those women who are in the dark places where you once were, who are either feeling isolated or are financially dependent on their husbands or are struggling with their identity or postpartum? What is your one message that you want to, convey to them?
I don't consider myself, that speaker or a motivational speaker, but coming from the same situation as probably you are, whoever is
Yeah.
listening, and in the same time that I was once, one thing I have learned is time always change.
Yeah.
Okay? It was not bad in the past. If it is bad now, it will not stay bad in the future.
Yeah.
Keep that hope. Prioritize your own, become that main actor or actress in your own story.
In your
Do
own
not
story.
keep on ignoring yourself. You want to buy that red lipstick, I'm wearing red lipstick. Yes, I want to feel I'm someone important in my own life, at least in my own life. Become that main character of your story and ask, take the space, take space that, yes, I need to drink coffee today. I need to cook what I like today. Every day I'm cooking for others, but today I will cook what I want to eat. Put your needs out.
And not
Okay.
feel sorry about it.
No, be unapologetic about it,
Yeah.
because you matter. No matter how people or others around you make you feel low or invisible, because people will try to make you feel invisible, that you don't exist. That's okay. But in your own story, you should be the main character. Treat yourself like one. Honor your needs. Do what makes you happy. Do dance, right? I started this page, I was very shy about it. But I'm trying to push my limits because I love doing it. Anytime I see a message from a mother saying, that story inspired me, I feel like my purpose of this life is complete. Maybe this was the purpose of my life, to inspire others with my own
Right.
story. And I'll continue
Right.
doing that. So, moms, if you are in this story, a happy mother is a good mother. If you're not happy, your kids will see it,
Yeah.
right? And they will also not be happy. So if you don't want to do it for your own sake, do it for your kids' sake. Give them the best version of yourself that they deserve. Be a happy mother.
Wonderful. You've rebuilt your career, navigated postpartum, created a community platform. Where do you think this strength came from? Was it something you've always had or something you've discovered along the way?
I think I always felt there is something in me that never lets me give up. I can be in the worst situation, but I will not give up. I would say if I'm in a challenging situation, I get even more courage to fight back. So, and plus my kids' faces, right? When I see them, even if I'm in the worst situation, I just know that they deserve the best. I brought them in this world, and it is my responsibility to give them a good life, a good mother.
Yeah.
So I probably was always courageous, but my kids made me even more courageous than now. So that strength comes from my kids and my husband for sure.
Amazing. And what's your vision for Oh Healing Mama going forward? What is the kind of impact that you hope you would have?
So my vision is that I want to see happy mothers around me. I want to see that mothers getting inspiration from my page and honoring themselves. They stop putting their needs aside, start doing stuff for themselves. When I see a mom doing Zumba, gymming, dancing, singing, I love it. And that's all I want. I want mothers to also enjoy their lives and not just live their life for the sake of others. That's my vision. I want to see happy, encouraging, inspiring moms around me who are unstoppable.
Beautiful. Beautiful to hear that. One last question I'm going to ask here. If you could go back and speak to yourself fresh off that plane in Delaware when you first landed in USA, what would you tell her and why?
So I would say I was always a people pleaser. I would always honor everyone in my life. I would tell her, start honoring yourself. Start speaking up what you want, what your needs are, right? I will not tell her that, a difficult time is coming because I will let her enjoy. But I will tell her that learn, doing it in 2024, right? And then starting this whole journey. I wish I had started that journey earlier and made my life better. But this was my journey. This had to happen this way, and no regrets at all. But I would just tell myself, she's amazing. She did not give up, and that is why she made me who I am today. So I'm very thankful to her.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Tritika, for being here today, sharing your story with such honesty and courage. The work you're doing through Oh Healing Mom is creating ripples of healings for so many mothers who needed to hear exactly what you shared today. Thank you for reminding us that we don't have to carry everything alone, and reclaiming ourselves, it's not selfish, it's survival. To everyone who's listening, thank you for being a part of this conversation. If Tritika's story resonated with you, I encourage you to connect with her at Oh Healing Mom. Her page is on Instagram and it's a wonderful page. And to all the mothers out there who are navigating this beautiful, messy, complicated journey of raising children while also finding yourselves abroad, away from home, I just like to say you're not lost. You're exactly where you need to be, and your story matters. Until next time, take care of yourselves, Mama. You deserve it. This is the Lost and Found Mama podcast. I'm your host, Avantika, and I'll meet you with another episode really soon. Big hug.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.